mistakes you should avoid when you're becoming an interior designer. Yes, there's so much that is so important to know. It's not just about designing the space. There's so many small things that I wish someone had taught me, but nonetheless I learned the better way. There are small things like you should sign a contract, or maybe you should even create a website, or maybe how you should deal with clients. There are so many small factors in this which make you a successful interior designer. So if you want to find out some more about how to avoid these mistakes and what is the best way for you to become an interior designer, then stay tuned till the end of the video. Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Tanvi Sixeria, the founder and CEO of Lil Miss Designer. If you're here to find out about the tips, tricks and hacks and anything to do with interior design, then you're at the right place. To become a successful interior designer, one doesn't just need to have creativity and design skills. There are so many important things that one must consider and know about, which I'm going to be talking about in this video. 1. Contract. 2. BOQ and payment schedule. 3. Minutes of the meeting. 4. Transparency. 5. Don't ignore your clients. 6. Know your market rates. 7. Keep good relationship with vendors. 8. Smartly deal with snag lists. 9. Existing client referrals and testimonials. 10. Create a website. 1. Contract. Now it's but obvious that if you're going to be designing a space, there could be misunderstandings, miscommunications and clarifications required between you and your client. A simple solution for this is to sign a contract. Now in this contract or in this document, you should ensure that certain points which you think could come into the matter later are included in this, such as the scope of work. The scope of work giving you clarity about what your deliverables for the project are, and even the client understands what they're going to be expecting from you. Other things to include in this are like maybe the payment schedules or what are the deadlines to finish the project, and in case if there are delays or if someone gets hurt, who is going to be responsible for this. In case there is furniture problem in terms of the size or the color, who would be responsible for this. These things are very important to include. Another factor to really include into the contract is, for example, if the client has a lot of changes, how many number of changes are you going to give for free, or are there going to be additional charges for these changes? Having all of these points written inside your contract is going to give much more clarity for the payments to come in clearly and the work to be done efficiently. So definitely get a contract signed. 2. BOQ and payment schedule. Now what is a BOQ? A BOQ is simply known as bills of quantity. Now in this, it's simply where all the rates, quantities and the details and the descriptions of the work to be done are mentioned. Now in the bills of quantity, or simply known as a BOQ, you should include all the items that you are going to be doing in terms of the labor payments, the materials coming in, or even things that you're buying ready-made. As detailed and as much as you include into this BOQ at an initial stage is going to give you lesser and lesser chances of you to having it increase at a later stage. Include things like your plumbing, electrical, furniture, decor, planters, styling, to everything as end to end. As what some people make mistakes is that when they only include certain things like such as the main materials and just the main items coming to this, at the end of the project, the client realizes that they do not have any budget left to actually decorate the space and make it actually their own. So a simple way to do this is to include those smaller costs, such as even a planter and an artwork or anything to decorate it right from the beginning, so that they know that what is the final cost that's going to be done with everything inclusive. And always ensure that you create a separate amount, miscellaneous amount for things that can go wrong or things that will, like it could be a lump sum amount of let's say 50,000, 1 lakh or whatever the thing is based on the project. But ensure that a certain lump sum amount is dedicated to miscellaneous for anything that may go wrong or anything that you may have forgotten to include into this BOQ. Now, after you have created this BOQ, it is very important that the client and you have clarity about how the payments will be coming in and going out. A simple way to do this is to create a payment schedule. In this, you can actually write about the amounts that need to be paid with the date specifically written next to it and to who it needs to be paid. Whether it is with GST, without GST, to a vendor, directly through you or however. So this system really makes the client getting much more efficient in the payments, as they already know that when certain amount of deliverables are done at the project, the client has to make these payments. You can also send them reminders maybe a day or a week before so that they are well aware that these payments need to come in. This really helps because if the payments come in on time, your materials come in on time, and the project actually finishes on time. So it's a win-win for all. And just in case if there are changes or there are small things that need to be added in at a later stage, ensure that in case if BOQ, which basically has the estimates of the total project, in case if that goes a bit higher than expected, then don't run away. Please inform the client then and there. They can be actually understanding. Just being scared or not doing anything about it is not going to help the situation, is it? So please be smart and be honest and actually tell the client that, look, this is what has happened, this is the reason for the change. Please look into the matter and then sort it out amongst yourselves. Because if there is clarity, honesty and transparency, this work can be so much better. 3. Minutes of the meeting. Minutes of the meeting are basically simply known as MOMs. Now, if you're not familiar with this word, this is really simple. It's basically when you go into any meeting, whether it's with a client, with a vendor, with a contractor, it's just simply to make note of all the things that you all are discussing. So it's basically a record document in which you have everything written. Like for example, if I've had a client meeting and we have had certain discussions about a particular wall or a TV unit or anything, we can make notes for if, in example, if the height has changed or if they needed to add something specific in as per their requirement. You make note of all of these things so that there is on record, there is no confusion between you and the client. Everything is written on document. So let's say at a later stage, if the client or you have some confusion, you can always look back into those documents. So it's going to be a good record to keep. In case if there are any misconceptions between you and the client, this is a great thing to look back to, because in case if the client says that no, I had told you this, or you had said I had told you that, this will really give you clarity, because all you have to do is go back, look into the records, and the best way to do this is to actually systemize it with dates. Like for example, you can mention on this date these things were discussed, and you can also go more into detail by mentioning who was actually present in the meeting on that specific day. This really helps you understand exactly what was discussed when, and go back to these records and do this project wise so that you don't have any confusion. 4. Transparency. Now, being transparent is very, very important in this line. If you're going to be hiding things and doing things behind the back, you're just going to be breaking the trust between you, your client, and probably your other team members as well. Now, what do I mean by being transparent? Now, sometimes it is very commonly known, and I'm probably sure a lot of designers do this as well, is they take a lot of cuts or probably a certain percentage of their amount from other products that are purchased. So for example, if you and your client have gone to the store and purchased a particular kind of Italian marble for the flooring, and let's say it has costed you around 800 per square foot. Now usually what happens is these companies or these vendors give a certain amount of discount. Now let's say if they're giving you about a 15% discount. Now what some people do is they carry forward only about 10% of this discount to the client and keep the 5% for the designers. As a designer, you are definitely going to get a lot more money. You're going to get about like 5% more of that money. But at the end of it, that's going to create a bit of mistrust between you and the client. You may or may not agree with me, but I personally believe being transparent with the costing and not taking these commissions is going to be more helpful and fruitful for the long run, because if you create trust with the client, they'll actually be okay with paying you a little more and not having to have that as a problem. So example, if when I'm giving my design fee, I actually charge a higher design fee, mentioning to the clients that I'm going to be giving them the entire discount that I get carried forward to them. So this may not seem very smart at the beginning, but in the long run, trust me, having this practice has really helped me. But nonetheless, even if you want to keep the commissions, I feel being transparent and open with your client is just going to help you build that trust. So please consider this. So the ninth point that I'm going to be telling you about a little later is one of the smallest points, but trust me, it's made a whole lot of difference to me as an interior designer. I've been in this field for more than 7 years, and this is one thing that has not been spoken about much into the market, but it helps a lot. So stay tuned till the end of the video, because I'm going to tell you that little secret. 5. Don't ignore your clients. Now, yes, we have tons of clients, we have tons of meetings, we have tons of things to go, and sometimes these clients can go on and on. I understand that. But do not ignore them. The simple message saying, hey, I'm busy, I'm going to revert back to you soon, is something that's really going to pacify them. So even if it's going to take you just 1 minute of your thing to message them back saying that you will get back, it's definitely going to be a better habit to keep than ignoring your clients. So definitely keep this in mind. 6. know market rates. Now it's very easy to be fooled in this line, especially if you're new as an interior designer. It's very important that you yourself go along with the markets and check the research and find out about the products. What are the newest materials? What are the rates available? For example, if you have liked a particular kind of glass or you like a particular kind of leather, now those can be available in so many finishes, in so many thicknesses, in so many types, right? Now just finding out from one vendor is not enough. You actually need to see whether that same product is available with at least 2 to 3 vendors. Do price comparison so that you know what the actual market rate is, so that you know what discounts you should get and what discounts you should offer to your client, and what are the actual rates of that material even in the MRP rates. Because if you don't know this, anyone is going to fool you and you're going to be paying extra for absolutely no reason. So know your market rates. This is very important. 7. Keep good relationships with vendors. Now remember I mentioned to you in the earlier point that you should know the market rates. As much as that's important, it's even more important that these rates, after being known by you, should be actually dealt well with the vendors, because these vendors can actually make a real fool out of you and treat you very badly and really delay your work. Having good relationships with vendors really helps to understand that they know that they have to give you good service and good after service as well if you're really lucky. Now even after the project gets over, you should keep in touch with them and always make sure that they do not cheat you with the quality or anything. Having good relations with them really helps to get this, and also making sure that you have repeated vendors is really good, because then they give you better services and better discounts. Of course, you should keep more options with vendors. You shouldn't be stuck to only one, but it's always good to keep these relations with them because it really helps you in the long run. 8. Smartly deal with snag list. So a snag list is basically a list that we make after you have handed over a project to a client. A handover is basically when you have given the entire project to the client so that they can shift into it. It's normal that after the client has shifted into their house, office, or any space that you have designed, that they are going to be having small teething issues. For example, it could be that a lock has got spoiled, or it could be something that they would like to add a shelf somewhere. There are a lot of these small things that come into play, and it becomes very difficult for the designer to handle all of this. So a good way to do this is to act smart about it, so that the client doesn't even feel like you're ignoring them, and at the same time you're actually giving them the service smartly. After you have completed the project, you can set a time and date with the client and actually do an entire run through of the entire space, a detailed list with everything noted with whatever they say, from bedroom 1 to bedroom 2 to the hall if it's a house, or let's say cabin 1 to cabin 2 if it's an office, and etc. Similar ways for other spaces. Now, as you're going through each room, you can pinpoint at everything that they find that they need to add, minus, or just adjust in small ways, and make a note of that entire list. So by the end of this meeting, you have an entire long list with all the small things that they want to do. You can either assign an entire week by coordinating with your vendors, that you ask the client that give me 1 more week or maybe 2 more weeks, or how much ever time that you think would be feasible for this, and ask those vendors to go in and completely finish off and get all of these alterations done, so that the client feels that you have actually heard them out and actually discussed this. Create an Excel sheet with entire list of details of the vendors with their numbers inside it. Directly contact the vendor. They don't have to keep calling you. And trust me, if your snag list is not done well and you are after the project is over, there's no point of that good project, because your entire relationship is going to go for a toss. So please remember to deal very smartly with the snag list after you have handed over the project. 9. Existing client referrals and testimonials. Now this is a point that has really saved me. Now, how many of you interior designers have spent so much of your money on marketing and finding new clients and finding new projects and talking to so many other people to get even 1 project or 2 projects or 10 projects? Now, haven't you spent so much money and just wasted, sometimes even got a project and sometimes not even got a project after spending so much? Getting leads which may not even convert, it's such a hassle, it's such a struggle. Well, I'm not saying don't get new clients, and I'm not saying don't go to these procedures, but I'm saying don't only rely on this. A smart way to do this is actually have your existing clients, or let's say your previous clients, use them to get these new clients. One of my first projects that I did was a small little cafe. I barely got anything out of it. I charged them very little. But through that project, I actually got 10 new projects. And you want to know how? Just because I kept good relationship with the client and I asked the client to actually help me get more clients. So if they are very happy with the work that you have done, they will 100% recommend you to others. And trust me, getting a referral or a recommendation from someone is much better than spending those hours and hours and lots of money on marketing. So after you have completed your project, make sure that you go to the client and you ask them to actually give you a written testimonial. You can actually put it up on Google or let's say on your website or any of the marketings which you're already spending on. Always be in touch with your clients, send them small gifts or maybe messages once in a while to remind that you exist. And I'm 110% sure if you have done a fab job or an amazing interiors work for them, they will recommend you and you will be getting tons and tons of projects with absolutely no extra cost. 10. Create a website. You should definitely put like your best projects into this website. Now if you have a website, when somebody contacts you, you can just forward them that link, and this makes it look much more professional than sending them individual images of 1 or 2 projects randomly like this. Having a website also gives you some kind of trust between you and the client, because the client understands that you have a website, which means you're very professional about this, which also show in your testimonials of your previous projects. You can either use Wix or other websites to make it on your own, or you can hire somebody to make it. That's completely on you, because trust me, this really gets you clients and really helps people believe you and understand you and actually respect you for your work. So these were some of the tips that I had to give you with some of the mistakes that I had made in the past and I have learned from. So let me know which tip was helpful for you and which one you're going to emphasize. Comment down and let me know, because I would love to know what were the mistakes you made. And in case if there were some other mistakes which I haven't listed, I would love to know that too. Thank you so much for watching. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And of course, hit that notification bell. See you soon.